BBC News with Sue Montgomery. Donald Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 charges that he falsified business records to conceal crimes that hid damaging information from voters during the 2016 presidential election. Among the accusations he denied were that he tried to cover up hush money payments to two women. Neda Tawfiq in New York has more details.
Now that the indictment has been unsealed, the Manhattan District Attorney has also issued kind of a statement of facts. And their position is essentially that in the lead up to the 2016 election, Donald Trump and his former lawyer, American Media, which owns a tabloid here called the National Enquirer, they all conspired to run this catch and kill scheme to suppress negative information that would hurt him to voters ahead of the election. And they said he falsified business records to conceal that crime.
Mr. Trump said nothing as he left the court and is now on his way home. The man who brought the charges against him, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, justified his decision to prosecute. He gave details of the charges facing Mr. Trump and emphasized that falsifying business records was a criminal offense.
The conduct I just described and that which was charged by the grand jury is felony criminal conduct in New York State. True and accurate business records are important everywhere, to be sure. They are all the more important in Manhattan, the financial center of the world. That is why we have a history in the Manhattan DA's office of vigorously enforcing white-collar crime.
Mr. Trump, who's running again for the US presidency next year, is expected to hold a news conference in Florida. The New York judge, Juan Merchan, said the criminal trial could get underway in January. He urged both sides to be mindful of their language and rhetoric. Several leading Republicans have criticized the legal action. The United Nations says the Taliban in Afghanistan have issued an order which bans Afghan women from working for the UN across the country. Here's our South Asia editor, Anbarasan Etirajan.
A UN spokesman said the ban on female UN staff was the latest in a disturbing trend that undermined the ability of aid organizations to work in the country, where more than half the population need assistance. He said they were expecting to have meetings with the de facto Afghan rulers on Wednesday to seek some clarity on the development. After the Taliban banned most Afghan women from working for non-governmental organizations in December, humanitarian agencies stressed that some crucial health work, including immunizations, could only be done by female staff. The Taliban relented, allowing women to work only in the health sector.
World News from the BBC. Mexico's president has asked China for its help in curbing the trafficking of the deadly opioid fentanyl. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador said he'd written to his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping, urging him to help disrupt shipments from Asia of the chemicals used to make the synthetic product. He said fentanyl laboratories had sprung up in Mexico, but security forces last year destroyed 1,400 of them. Colombian officials have warned that children could be forcibly evacuated if their families refuse to leave their homes close to a volcano. Last week, the National Geological Service raised the eruption alert level for one of the country's most active volcanoes. Phoebe Hobson reports.
The Nevado del Ruiz volcano rises to over 5,000 metres above sea level and is being closely watched for a possible eruption. The authorities in Colombia have said they plan to evacuate people living within 15 kilometres of the volcano, but many have refused to leave as they do not want to abandon their homes and livestock. The head of the National Risk Department, Luis Fernando Velasco, said that children should have special protection if their parents choose not to leave. Dozens of people have been evacuated as a preventative measure following an increase in seismic activity in the past week.
The organisation which oversees the anti-doping programme for international athletics has said that Kenyan athletes are being assisted by local medical experts to cover up doping offences. The Athletics Integrity Unit reached the conclusion after two athletes used similar stories to explain medical irregularities. The International Committee of the Red Cross says it will lay off 1,500 staff over the next year as it tries to deal with the impact of a reduction in funding. The ICRC says the shortfall is expected to amount to hundreds of millions of dollars. BBC News.